Okay, so here's what you need to know how to do for today. It's x and y intercepts. We already talked about that a lot yesterday, so this part's going to be really easy. Finding equations for lines. A lot of times this happens on the ACT test too. They say here's a slope and here's a point on the line. Tell me what the equation is. We'll talk about those. Parallel and perpendicular lines, that is super easy. You're going to know that in 2 minutes. And then the last thing is taking an equation and using a table to figure out some points on the equation. This is going to be a pretty easy day compared to yesterday, I think. All right, so if I look at these graphs, the green one touches here and it touches here. Those are the intercepts. One of them is the x-intercept, one's the y-intercept. It's that simple. If you got a picture, it's super simple. This is the x-axis, so the one that's touching there is the x-intercept, and this is the y-axis, so that must be the y-intercept. All right. So what if, though, they don't give you a picture? Then you have to have this memorized. The x-intercept is where y is 0, and the y-intercept is where x is 0. I would like you to say that, finish the sentence with me, so out loud. It helps you remember it. The x-intercept is where what? Y is 0. And the y-intercept is where what? X is 0. And it's incredibly powerful. You'll have an equation like this, 4x plus 3y equals 12. And if I say, what's the x-intercept on that? You'll just be able to go, oh, it's where y is 0. Put a 0 there. That cancels. And now if you can't solve that in your head real quickly, you probably shouldn't be here. What's the answer for that one? 4 times y is 12. What's y got to be? 3. So therefore, what did I just figure out? I figured out that y is 3, and therefore that's the what? The x-intercept. The x-intercept, I had 2 y's in that one. That was weird. I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to try that again. 4y plus 3x equals 12. I'm going to try that again. I was trying to do the x, or the y-intercept, and that's where x is 0. So I'm putting a 0 right here. Okay, so if I'm doing the y-intercept, which is where x is 0, that's how I do it. Sorry, I messed that other one up. And now I got 4y equals 12, and if you can't solve that, I was saying you'd be in trouble. The y must be 3. And what did I just find there? It was the y-intercept or the x-intercept? The y-intercept, because x was 0. Right? All right, you try one. 6y plus 2x equals 24. I'd like you to figure out for me the x-intercept and the y-intercept. The x-intercept is where y is 0. So stick in a 0, figure it out. You'll need paper or an iPad. Not okay to just do it in your head. Fine if you do it in your head and write the answer down on the paper, that's fine. Pause for a second. All right, so you should have gone like this. To find the x-intercept, I want to make y 0. And then that 0 times 6 cancels, and then I got 2. That must be 12. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, good. And the other one is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is where x is 0. 0 here. And then it's 6y equals 24. 6y equals 24. And hopefully you know 6 times 4 makes 24, and therefore y must be 4. And I have found the x-intercept and the y-intercept. If it bothers you that it's not a point, you can make it a point really easy. The x-intercept is something comma something, right? And the x-intercept is where y is 0, so that must be 0. And the x is 12. And this is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is where x is 0, so you put a 0 there, and the y must be 4. So if they want a point, that's how you do it. All right, enough with the x and the y-intercepts. Good enough. Parallel and perpendicular. Parallel lines have the same slope. So like if I had this, y equals 6x plus 7 and y equals 6x minus 13, they have the same slope, therefore they are parallel. Do you get that? Is that simple? Okay, good. Do you remember the one for perpendicular? What is it? Very good. Opposite reciprocals, see? So for example, 2 and negative 1/2. Or in this case, if I had 6x, I'd want to put in what for my new one? Negative 1/6. You get that? Those two lines will be perpendicular then. If they have these two numbers are negative reciprocals of each other. All right, moving on. There's these 3 forms of a line, and we focused mostly on this one. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. We did that a lot yesterday, and I hope that's stuck in your head. So when I show you this, y minus 3 equals 5 times x plus 6 you should be able to say, oh, I see the slope. You see the slope? What is it? It's the 5. That's the slope. And do you see the y-intercept just sitting there? No, but you could figure it out. Because the y-intercept is where what? X equals 0, so you put a 0 in and figure it out. Okay, but we don't need that right now. The other thing we need is this equation is called point slope for a reason. That's the slope, and this makes a point. And it's not the point -3 comma 6. That's tragically messed up. It's reversed order because that's the x and that's the y. So this is it 6 -3? No, that's still tragically messed up. What's wrong with my point? It should be -6 and +3. Okay? So you can think of it as do the opposite of whatever you see here. -3 becomes +3, and +6 becomes -6. Or you could just think of it as the general form of the equation is this. So it should have minuses in it. And then you just use the number as you see it. So if you see y minus 3 equals 5 times x plus 6, you can go, oh, well, this one's a minus already, so I just take the 3. And this one, wait a minute, it's supposed to be a minus, so there must have been another minus. This should be -6. So it would be -6 comma 3 in this case. And my slope would be 5. Raise your hand if you feel comfortable with that. That's easy stuff for you. We should move on. Okay, good. Move on. Here's a slope. Here's a y-intercept. Write me an equation. Starts with y equals. Try it. Should feel easy peasy. Y equals something, the slope, something, y-intercept, I know that. Now, if everybody had their iPads today, I would be asking you to like hold it up over your head and zoom in on it and show me, and I could go, yeah, right. Know what I mean? And that's one of the cool things that we'll be doing. Nice, thank you. But you don't all have the iPads yet. Y equals 1/2 x plus 7? Yeah. Raise your hand if you had that one. Okay, good. This gets harder because now we have a slope and a point, and you can't just like slap this at the end of your equation. It doesn't work. You got to use the other thing. You got to use this and put that point in the right spot and put the slope in the right spot. Slope's easy to put in, but the other point's a little harder to put in. Write me an equation for that one. That is a typical ACT question right there. It's one of the easier ones, but it is a typical thing they put on the ACT test. Carl, why don't you give it a shot?
Y plus 3 x.
Raise your hand if you had the same thing as he did. All right, good job. Okay, moving on. What if it's got to be parallel to this line and going through this point? Well, basically, I still just gave you a slope and a point. I just gave you the slope in a hard way. You can figure out the slope of that, right? It's just the same question as before, except got to figure out the slope first. Well, the slope's 7, so really easy, right? Y minus, and then I'm going to put in the y of this, which is -3, equals the slope, which is 7, times x minus the x of this, -2. What's wrong with this? Well, you just don't normally put minus minus, so what should I put? Plus for this and plus for that, and there we go. Raise your hand if you're comfy with that. Okay, moving on. This one is a little harder because the slope is not just obvious in the first place, and we got to make it perpendicular to. So first figure out the slope, then figure out what the perpendicular to, and then figure out what to do with the y-intercept, and write me an equation. Give it a shot right now on your paper. I'll come around and see. I know it's going to take you a little while to solve for that slope, but maybe I'll pause it while you're working. Okay, here's what you should have done. You should have taken this, solved it for y. 3x plus 2y equals 12. First of all, minus 3x, minus 3x. Then I would recommend you put the x's on the left, like that. Then I would recommend you divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Final answer, y equals negative 3 halves x plus 6. Then the slope I needed was right there. And now I can flip it and make it the opposite of that. And so therefore it's y equals 2/3 x. And then the y-intercept I wanted was negative 6 minus 6. That's the y-intercept. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. Then we're down to just one last thing. Making sure you know how to do this. Okay. Well, this has a chart and it has an equation. And all you got to do is say, what did they tell me right here in this one? They told me the x. The x is 2. So you stick a 2 in and you see what you get. Well, it's negative 3 times 2 makes negative 6. Negative 6 plus 2 makes negative 4. That's it. Prove that you understood what I just did by figuring out this one. Stick in the 8 in the right spot. Remember, they're giving you the y is 8. So, Will, what did you get for that one? You are so right. Negative 2. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Vast majority are getting these right. I think you are ready to move on. So, your homework for tonight is right here. And I think I can stop my recording now.